You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The time is 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairman Tim Toth. I'd like to call the Select Board Business Meeting on this 28th day of September 2022. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. I would like to take a moment today for those who have not been following the national news. At approximately 3 p.m., Hurricane Ian made landfall on the western coast of Florida. Video that I saw at about 4:45 coming out of the Tampa area showed a picture of a fire engine, water up to the tops of the wheels, and they were actually pushing the vehicle out of the bays because it was smoking, and the fire chief was concerned their building might burn down. But watching the crews and what they were doing, it was an amazing watching them push a very large ladder truck out of the building, but they got it done. I can only imagine what's going on. The last estimate that I heard and saw through NOAA was a 15 to 18 foot storm surge. Those are numbers in water I can't imagine. But my thoughts and prayers to everybody affected in that area. And this is going to be long lasting, sadly, I'm sure. Before we begin, I'd like to state for the record, not only are we being live streamed on TCTV Cable Station 8 and our YouTube web platform, but this evening's recording is also available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. This evening, we have the following board members, staff, and expected guests, and I apologize if I get some names wrong. For the board, we have Ms. Griffiths, Ms. Richards, myself as chair. Vice Chair Curry is going to try to join us remotely. He got pulled away on a short notice move for work, and I'm not sure he's landed yet in Chicago, so he can't log in at the moment. Our town administrator, Mr. LaMontagne, of course, TCTV. Our assistant town administrator, Holly Young. Our administrative assistant, Justice Graves. As I look quickly around the room, we have our state legislative team. We're glad that they are here. Senator Goby, Representative Whips, Representative Zlotnick. Mr. Gavin from the Water Department, Chief Bennett from our Police Department, the two young ladies in the back. I'm sorry, can't put a name to the face.
I'm Rachel Johnson. I'm the treasurer of the track and cross country booster club.
Welcome.
I'm Carrie Powers. I'm the president of the cross country track.
Welcome. I recognize Candy Graves. God, mind blank. Jackie Prime, our community services director. Huh? Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we have Andrew from the MVP, the Massachusetts Vulnerability Program, which is going to be some interesting presentations for us this evening. I apologize for those who I did not personally recognize. One other individual we will be meeting very briefly. As always, the agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out by law. It's publicly available on the official source for town information, templetonma.gov. Although I have discretion as a chairperson to add or remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and for public awareness. I reserve the right to move agenda items around to best fit our business and our guests. Thank you. If it's your first time attending a select board meeting or any public meeting within the community, welcome. We're glad that you joined us. Please be aware we do our best to address all agenda items adequately, all public concerns with due concern, and all comments with dignity and patience. Please do your best to show the same respect. So right now, no other people on the Zoom. I will not go over the Zoom rules of the road. And that said, we will roll right forward into our meeting agenda. So item 3, approval of minutes of prior meetings. And this is in our packet, team.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of 9/14/22 as presented.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's bring that to a vote. Ms. Griffiths,
Yes,
Ms. Richard,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. We have no executive session meeting minutes to worry about to approve. Citizen input.
Mr. Chair, I have one citizen input for this evening on Saturday, October 15th from 9 to 11. The doors will be opening at 8:30. We'll be having coffee with the candidates, free for residents that are interested or have questions. We have one representative from the governor's office. Our senators are going to be there. Representative Zlotnick and Bruce Chester. Ann Goby from the senator's office and James Amarillo, and from the Massachusetts Governor's Council, which I'm really interested in because it's something new to me, believe it or not. And I hope if people are curious about politics, they would come and learn about it as well. We'll have Gary Galanick and Paul Di Palo. So everybody's invited. Doors open at 8:30 sharp and seating is limited. So please get there early, and we look forward to having as many people that want to fit in. And
where will that be?
oh, sure, 16 Baldwin Drive at the Templeton Senior Center. Sorry.
At the senior-
I left my pad out in the car. I had it all written out perfect, and it's
It's
like,
all
Good job, Tim.
too late. I'm sorry.
So Senior Community Center,
Yes.
awesome.
Yep.
Great
And
use.
John Graves will be the moderator, and of course, TCTV will be there recording. So we
Outstanding.
look forward to seeing everybody and hearing from all the candidates. Best of luck.
Any additional citizen input? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into new business. I will state for the record, there will be an executive session tonight as we get near the end of our agenda. I will be calling for the vote to enter said session, and we will only be exiting to close the open meeting. There'll be no additional votes taken at that time. Item 5A, introductions of new employees.
Hello, I would like to introduce our new Director of Veteran Services. This is Timothy Batchelder. As a member of the interview panel, I think I could definitely see Tim's heart for this job and, trying to assist veterans with finding every benefit available to them. So we started this week, so welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Tim, anything you would like to add?
I'm very excited to enter the role with the ground running. I'm gonna do the best I can to provide the best services that I can to the veterans here in the area and throughout Western Mass. Born and raised, well, not born, but born in Texas, raised in Western Mass, live in Gill. I have a wife of 19 years, 3 kids, a foster daughter who's 23, a 15-year-old daughter, a 12-year-old boy. I'm a disabled vet. And I'm excited to be in the position and to help out the veterans. My professional experience is 10 years in law enforcement in a small town, Leverett. And then I worked for the state as a compliance officer for 9 years, and then a few months with the VA down in Hartford, where I learned the inner workings of the VA, which led me to have a true desire to come to a local municipal where I can help veterans one-on-one. So I'm very excited to be able to, once I get trained up, hoping towards the end of October, that come November, I'm going to be fully certified and ready to go. But in the meantime, I will have office hours Monday, Wednesday, 9 to 3. And during that time, I will be here in the office in VSL to provide any assistance that I can during this transition. I've reached out to a fellow veteran service officer who I can go on to support for immediate needs for veterans in the meantime. And just really thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve veterans. I'm very excited to be a part of the community and the team, and thank you.
Outstanding. One vet to another. Welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you, sir.
And you've got a little bit of experience both sides of this, so now you know where some of the challenges already faced and what many folks are facing, but welcome to the team.
Thank you, sir.
And to reiterate what Ms. Richards said, it's thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, item 5B, appointments, Open Space Committee.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Dennis Rich to the Open Space Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2023.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Mr. Rich to the Open Space Committee. Any discussions?
I think it's just a reappointment. He,
believe
right,
it
Holly,
It
he
is
just
reappointed.
forgot to get his paperwork in, but a reappointment.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Very good. Hearing no further discussions, we'll bring this to the vote. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes,
Ms. Richard?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you. Up next, item 5C, presentation, the MVP Grant Award.
Hello, everybody. So, good evening. So my name is Andrew Smith. I'm the Greater Connecticut River Valley Regional Coordinator for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. I'm going to talk a little bit about the program and then a little bit more about the specifics of Templeton's grant. So for a little history of the program, 2017 is when the MVP program was first established by Executive Order 569 by Governor Baker's office. Since then, in the 6 years since then, we've had 97% of the Commonwealth has gone through the planning process to become an MVP community. You mentioned Gill, and that's one of the towns that has yet to do it yet, but that's a small cross section. So we're gonna get Gill involved someday. So, but that's a separate topic. So since then, we've 97% of the Commonwealth has decided to become an MVP community. We've awarded this year $100 million in climate change adaptation funding for implementation of action grants. This year, FY23 was our largest award yet. So we're increasing our ability to take action on the ground with our cities and towns. We awarded $33 million in funding for cities and towns and action grant projects around the Commonwealth this year. So climate resilience funding and climate adaptation funding, they remain a necessary tool for cities and towns as we move forward into a changed climate. One of those action grants of the $30 million we awarded this past year is Templeton's Old Royalston Road Culvert project, which we awarded $503,000 and $503,000 was awarded in funding for the project. And there's really an interesting story here because the local commitment to doing the CRB process, which is the MVP process for becoming certified in the middle of the pandemic, right? The town went through the process for getting certified. Local commitment to permitting, design, getting everything lined up. So we had a shovel-ready project. And then, making sure that you're developing something that protects drinking water supplies through the replacement of a water main that provides water to citizens in Templeton, while designing something that meets current modern day stream crossing standards. That's something that really stood out as just excellent examples of projects that we like to fund. It didn't hurt that you had an Army Corps support letter, which, it's not very often that the Army Corps will write a letter of support for something, but there you have it. So that was like another feather in your cap of something that was really indicative of the need for this project. So you made a good case of showing why this is a climate adaptation project. And, not to score cheap points or to trivialize anything that's going on, but I think what you alluded to earlier and happening in Florida right now is really underscores the urgency and the necessity of the time to give cities and towns the tools that are necessary in order to begin the work now of implementing climate change adaptation projects. So congratulations to Templeton for this award. I do want to let you know that you're working within the sort of broader context of the area. You mentioned Leverett. FY22, we gave Leverett a culvert grant for old Shootsbury Road. There's gonna be a culvert improvement along there if you're driving south that way, southwest. Framingham, Walnut Street flooding improvement project that's going to take place. Munson, Chicopee Brook flood resilience, and Belchertown, Scarborough Brook watershed restoration. So these are all projects that are kind of not in your neighborhood specifically, but in your general world, where we're trying to work to make the landscape and the infrastructure that exists for supporting people and communities more resilient to these really extreme weather events that are happening with increased frequency. And that is, in a nutshell, why I'm like really excited about your project, because it's one that does two things: protects people and protects the stream and the watershed, and it kind of builds that resilience on multiple levels and multiple scales. So hats off to y'all. Very happy to have the $503,000 being awarded to the town. And then my understanding is that there's another process that I'm not involved in, which involves you guys. So I'm going to step back.
So I'm gonna step back.
Okay, I'll be involved.
Team effort. Smooth into that one. Good job.
So I'll move aside.
With the fake check that they talked about, because obviously, as part of the legislature, we fund to make sure that those monies are available and the good work that the folks at the MVP program. But as was mentioned, I mean, it's the work that you do on the local level, and you put through a very good proposal, because it doesn't happen with everyone. And this is one of the larger awards, I believe, that was made. I may be wrong on that, but I think it was one of the larger ones. I know it was one of the largest ones in my district, my Senate district, and for the rep district as well. So we know how much Adam loves to have these checks. Now, I'm not sure, when is the work going to start?
It'll be in the spring.
It is going to be the spring. Great. And so and absolutely extremely important. There's no question. So we love it when you come out. We love to continue to have awards. And I know the legislature is very committed to continuing to fund this program, because we see how important it is. There's no question. I don't know if my colleagues.
Well, I'll just reiterate, so many of these programs that we fund through the annual budget really wouldn't make the impact in our local communities if it wasn't for people on the ground doing the work, quite frankly, doing the paperwork to get the funds and do all the work that goes into that. So we're so grateful to have community partners like we have here in Templeton to make sure this money goes to where the legislature intends it to go and accomplishes what we intended to.
So
And I think this will probably be my last Templeton Board of Selectmen meeting, but I have picked up several other towns, and I feel that Templeton is in wonderful hands with Rep. Slotnick here, and I look forward to frequent updates.
so we'd like you to join us in the picture, please. We'll come up and where would you like once you?
In front of the flag.
I'm gonna get
Absolutely.
It's so funny. I was so nervous. I had Sarah Queen and I was waiting for me to stand with her. She says it's totally fine.
Yeah. I would
Yeah, we'll get the-
Sarah Finney used to work in my office.
Oh, yeah.
She was my legislative director.
All guys.
Okay.
We'll do it
Okay.
agenda. All women.
Okay.
I'll give you another one too.
So as we're organizing, this was a team effort, obviously. It's important we bring Mr. Gavin up from our water department.
Absolutely.
Certainly, we appreciate the support of the entire MVP program, our legislative team, and to coin the old familiar phrase and cliche, it takes a community.
Yeah, come on, Adam.
Well, it's okay.
Come on, Adam. Somebody's doing this paperwork.
I got two phones.
Well, because the next items is the more project. The rest of the project.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything.
Chairman, here's your big check.
Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's the worst part. We'll take the money any day.
Holly, can you send that to me? Did you get it? We have.
Holly, don't post Don't post without our permission, please.
Can you send me one?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
Today now.
I thought it was.
Exciting.
I forgot about the.
Oh, do we have to? authorize?
Okay, no, so next up is item 5D, the authorization to accept the grant funds coming in as a reimbursement, and we're going to apply that to the debt authorization approved at the town meeting on May 11th of 2022.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the MVP grant funds as reimbursement to apply against the debt authorization approved by town meeting on May 11th, 2022 on Article 27.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just have that commercial in my head. Show me the money. I don't know.
They just did.
Yeah. I'm so thankful,
Okay,
really.
hearing
I'm
no
very
further
thankful.
discussion, team, let's bring this to the
It
vote.
was worth
Ms.
every
Griffiths?
minute of MVP. Yes, I attended that MVP. So, yeah.
Ms. Richard,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you, team. And again, a culmination of a lot of hard work.
Yes, it was.
Okay, action item 5E, town property use permit, 43rd Greater Gardner. Try that again. 43rd Greater Gardner Turkey Trot.
Actually, I think we need candy.
Oh, yeah, she out
We
in the
do.
hall
Well, yeah.
What do we
for
need?
the next two. She's just,
Yeah. Thank you.
she's got all her paperwork in a row and a map and everything, so. Let's hear from her.
Evening.
Hi.
You
So,
wanna have turkey trot?
yeah, so the 43rd Annual Turkey Trot. This is members of the Gardner Cross Country Track Booster Club, which I'm a member of. And the race director as well, many other things. And so we're asking for you to we team up on this particular race, the Gardner Track Booster Club with Narragansett. So what happens is the proceeds are split between Narragansett and the Gardner teams for cross country.
Mhm.
And so therefore, that's why we were asking for it to be waived, because it'd be the town of Templeton students, the cross country team that would get a portion of it. Last year, we did very well. They got a significant check, both Gardner and Narragansett, from the Turkey Trot.
Starts in Gardner, ends in Baldwinville at the Legion. And
That's
then the
right.
Legion opens up their doors and
Yeah.
there's prizes, and it's a wonderful event. I loved every year that I did it. It's just, oh, I miss it.
Yeah, we haven't had to come in before, even though it's 43 years.
Look at
'cause
all
it's a
your
new
paperwork.
process.
You did a great job. You were very thorough. You got your maps in there and you
Oh,
did
thank you.
very nice.
The packet looks really good.
That's good.
I'll just follow her lead.
Okay, did you like, I don't know what kind of, if you have any questions, like, the only thing different we're gonna do this year is, we're gonna make like a, so when you run a race, you go into, a shoot at the end. So we're gonna make a pre-shoot because we feel like it's a little bit safer, and we're gonna try to, we would like to take that, the parking spots in front of, the restaurants, the Trusty Turtle, because nobody usually, the only people that usually park there are the race people, like the families will come up and park there early. But on the actual Thanksgiving morning, because that's when the race is, nobody, the restaurants aren't open, so that's what we'll be saying to them, don't park there, because we're gonna do like a pre-shoot to come into there
Oh,
for safety, so to keep them, you know how they were more on
The
the,
road in the
yeah,
middle,
where the
yeah.
wall is.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how it comes down from the,
Yeah.
yeah, from Cumberland Farms, we want to put them more towards the,
Smart.
yeah, the American Legion, so that they come under the bridge, cut over and do like a pretty little area and then go into the chute. So that way, because we have that, they were getting more and more traffic as the years go by. It's like you set up and there's nobody there. And hours, the race starts, and then all of a sudden you come down to the end and watch them, and there's like all these cars coming down, and they're directing them trying to come down. So having this pre to come down, I think would be the best way for safety reasons.
That sounds great. Nice addition to the race.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Ms.
I
Griffiths?
move to approve the permit for the 43rd Greater Gardner Turkey Trot on November 24th, 2022, pending receipt of the insurance certificate and to waive the fee.
Second that motion.
Have a motion with a second to approve the permit for the 43rd Greater Turkey Trot, November 24th, pending receipt of the insurance certificate and to waive the fee. Any discussions?
Quick,
Go ahead.
we're all good with this safety wise with the police presence and whatnot. You already have seen all of this for many,
It's here in front of you.
Yep.
and that's why it's here. Okay.
And it's not a full road
Perfect.
closure.
Just making sure. And it's not a full, we never do the full road closure, right?
Outstanding. Any other points to clarify? None? Let's bring it to a vote. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes?
Ms. Richard?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Good luck.
Thank you, ladies.
Have another successful year.
I found a necklace she made me today in my dream. Oh, the little plastic melty things. Sorry. I had her daughter. I kept,
It's all good.
I kept staring at her, but her daughter made.
So
me-
we're all set.
We're all set.
Thank you.
And we're just waiting for that insurance.
Okay, yeah,
Information.
we will call the
Say
company.
hi
and
to
get a
her for
copy
me.
of
I'm
it.
sure she's all
Very good.
grown up.
The next item, yeah.
And tell her I still have that heart necklace.
You and me. Okay.
Up next, action item 5F, approved placement of the memorial plaque at the memorial bench at Yeoman Wakefield.
Another great move forward for our rec department. I'm so thankful, Candy, getting it done. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the placement of Cody's memorial plaque on the memorial bench at Gilman Waite.
Second that motion.
Actually, it's not going to be on the bench. It's a bronze plaque that will be freestanding.
Freestanding. So do
Sorry
we
about
need to
that.
change that?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I need to amend that emotion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the placement of the freestanding Cody's memorial plaque at the Cody's Memorial area at Gilman Waite. Well, at the Cody's Memorial at Gilman Waite. No need to put it in.
Would you like to amend your second?
Sure.
Thank you for that. Any questions? We have them waiting here.
Are you doing a picture of it?
Did you, I didn't. see
I
it.
didn't bring a picture.
So it's freestanding
It's gonna be positioned on top of a granite post.
though? Ooh,
And it's just, it gives a little bit more background about Erin and her, her love of softball and because a lot of folks that are coming to Gilman have never had the pleasure of meeting her. So it will sort of give a little background to that
Yeah.
memorial.
mhm.
Her bench sits and it looks over to the home plate. So a lot of people will sometimes sit there on the bench and enjoy the games. So a lot of times they don't realize the story, and the family would like to have that addition so that the story of her would be so that people understand why the bench is there in the park.
Mhm.
So one more piece of the puzzle, sliding this one over the finish line
Yeah.
to tie it
Exactly.
to our last item. But again, it's dotting the i's, crossing the t's, and just buttoning up these various projects.
Mhm.
Very good. Any further discussions? Hearing none, let's bring this to the vote. Ms. Griffiths,
Yes.
Ms. Richards.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hard
for that.
work.
Thank you.
Clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Action item 5G. Action regarding authorization to negotiate an IMA dispatch with Town of Phillipston. For Lamontaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I have Chief Bennett here this evening as well, relative to this item. Our current arrangement with Phillipston is due to expire at the end of this fiscal year. This is a draft proposal that we're looking at sending over to Phillipston. Should the board be inclined to do so. And Chief, if you could just kind of come up, and you've been pretty much the one that comes up with the assessment and everything else with Phillipston. So if any member of the board has a question, I know you provide me with the information and I'll work with Phillipston on it. So Chief and I worked on this draft together. I think it's I would say an agreement that we think could work better moving forward, in the sense of when we do the assessment toward when we send, where it's clearly delineated within the agreement when we send the bill over.
Yes.
And everything else.
I would agree.
Anything outside of that, I think minor adjustments, nothing significant that I could recall within the draft agreement.
Mr. Chair, so, Chief Bennett, I had asked Adam, but he said that you could answer it. So is it a one-time fee, one-time payment based on 3 years of average calls?
Yearly.
Yearly, so they
Yearly.
do
That
it's
is correct.
one-time payment to your dispatch.
No, one-time yearly fee paid to the town of Templeton.
Okay, paid to the town of
Yes.
Templeton. Okay. Based on the average calls.
One time per year. That is correct.
Chief, I know there's a nationwide trend. The call volumes are just going up and up and up every year. Is
Yes.
Phillipston following that trend? Or are they a little behind? Just out of curiosity. I know that there's a disparity in numbers between the two communities.
Their population hasn't increased like ours. So they're staying more of a constant. I believe it's around 13.5% of our call volume, and it hasn't really changed. It's gone up and down over the years since I've been here. However, I will say that we just ran the numbers again, and Templeton is up over 26,000 calls for service now, which is mind-boggling how many calls for service. Just the other day alone, we had 10 rescue calls in one day.
Good Lord.
So I see it just getting worse.
As Templeton grows and the houses go up,
Yeah.
Yes.
exactly what's.
Well, that was what one of my questions was,
Tripling everything.
but Adam said you've been doing it all along. Cause I said, do we have the capacity? Cause I pay attention to your report and I
It's-
divide up how many calls for how many
Yes.
days for how, I was just gonna divide that 26,000 by 3.
It gets a little stressful. If Phillipston has a boom and if we continue to grow as we are, in the foreseeable future, we might need to add some dispatchers.
That's like an average of 71 calls a day. That's ridiculous.
Busy little place.
Yeah, there's usually it usually averages around 400 something calls per week.
Mhm. A little more than 3 hours, I'm thinking, maybe less.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
They,
wrong.
the phones don't stop ringing.
No, they don't.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the town administrator to negotiate with the town of Phillipston on an IMA for dispatch services.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussions?
The agreement looks great.
Mm.
Yeah, I reviewed that one.
Well, and the thing is to, once we get a final version together, obviously we would send that off to the board. We wanted to get this earlier to the board, to give us time. We don't know how long it's going to take with Phillipston. But at least it gets us ahead of the curve. In time before we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. So
Thank you for that. Chief, thank you for your input as well.
Thank you. I think
generally the board will sign. I negotiate and the board signs.
Just a note.
We will bring it to a vote. Hearing no more discussions, let's bring this to action item to a vote. Ms. Griffiths,
yes,
Ms. Richard,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you, team.
welcome.
If there's anything the board sees within there that they want to clarify or think could be
That's
improved,
good.
please let me know.
thank you.
But just reply to me, not the whole board, just.
Back to you.
Correct.
Up next, action item 5H, declaring police active duty weapons as surplus.
Chief Bennett? Well, generally by our policy, we have Chief Bennett's, I believe he updated the board in his quarterly report of his plan to trade in his duty weapons that they have, I believe it was Smith and Wesson. You currently
Yes.
have to a SIG.
Yep. Yes.
So this, by our surplus policy, the board we would need to get approval for him to carry through with his plan. So Chief Bennett, if you have any particular questions on his active duty weapons that he's looking at trading in for this, duty weapons are a little bit different. They're not like general surplus where you could go out to try to sell them, as you understand with weapons. So I think the chief has a good proposal that I'm supportive of. And Chief Bennett, you want to add anything further? How many weapons or anything specific?
So I'll answer whatever questions you have pertaining to this.
Good.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yep, I'm good, and I didn't.
And,
think
and
you
I
touched
do
it.
understand this is not like the normal governmental and municipal issues because it is involving a firearm. And I think it's outstanding that Sig Sauer is willing to give the trade-in value on the weapons, because that is not always the case,
No.
depending who the vendor is.
Yes. So if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'm sure we have plenty. Everybody has what they need.
Right?
Oh, we ask. Keep us safe.
Mr. Chair, I move to declare the police department's active duty weapons as surplus.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to declare the police department's active duty weapons as surplus. Any further discussion, Steve? Hearing none, let's bring this to the vote. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes,
Ms. Richards?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank
team.
you.
congratulations.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Action item 5I. Regarding authorization to negotiate an IMA for shared mart services with the town of Phillipston and confirmation with Mark.
So this is I've been working with Miss Prime on this. You probably remember it was part of the goals for the senior center, senior services department. And this is I believe Phillipston's interested in discussing this shared mart services. This is a little bit trickier in the sense of it's not just negotiating with Phillipston, but it's also getting confirmation from Mart to make sure that we could actually get this done. Because obviously, as you know, with your budget, you get reimbursement from Mart specific for Templeton. So there's some things that need to get straightened out. And this would just allow me to start the talks. Obviously, the final agreement would still come in front of the board for approval. That would need to be signed by the select board. But this is the first step of the process, and it was a goal of the senior services department. And Phillipston just recently, Justice, if I remember correctly, joined Mart.
Yeah, they joined Mar. I want to say it was either right at the end of the last fiscal year or right at the beginning of this fiscal year. It was
Right
one
at
of
the beginning of this fiscal year, and now they're on our agenda. I get it.
So it's just a matter,
Coming,
it's just a
Keep
matter
pushing.
of process of,
right.
negotiation
Negotiation only. It's gonna
negotiation,
come
and
in
then the
front of us
final
again.
would come in
Correct.
front of you. Yeah.
Perfect.
As I know, looking a little bit of research and it's a little muddied on the Mart's website where those lines of delineation are.
Did a little research. too.
It ought to be interesting.
Mhm. Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the town administrator to negotiate with the town of Phillipston on an IMA for shared mart services.
Second that motion.
I have a motion with a second to authorize town administrator to negotiate with the town of Phillipston on an IMA for the Mart services. Any further discussions?
Is it, to my knowledge, they have a ability to transport disabled people on the Mart?
Mart, yes, they do.
Because that's one of the things that in the beginning of my first term on the select board, I was talking to a disabled person and they were frustrated because they couldn't get out of their home and they were hoping that something like this would happen. So, for their independence, so I appreciate it. So just wanted to say that.
Now, I can't speak to them on getting you from your home to the curb,
Yeah,
but
right.
from the curb to wherever, yes, they have that ability.
Good point.
Well said, Kim.
That's years and years of experience with the ambulance services and the chair van services.
Yep.
Yes. Any further discussions or questions, team? Okay, let's bring this one to the vote.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Moving right along. Action item 6, old business. Town common proposal.
I wrote good leadership on this one. Good leadership.
Well, we've been talking, oh, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Go ahead.
We've been talking about the town common for some time. I just put together a draft of what I'm looking at proposing to the Capital Improvements Committee. There's some areas that Bob Sozik and I identified going out there that could certainly use some improvements, some grading, some planting, and some sections, especially out near closer to the library. You see those areas where I'm not sure if it's folks parking or whatever it might be, but there could certainly be some improvements to those sections. The barrier they put up, with the wood, time we could look at painting that. Other improvements that we might find along the way. This will give us at least into the capital program. So I will look at whether potential, I know Mr. Bennett was looking at potential CPC that we could use. But I want to be able to kind of take care of the maintenance side of the house first. So this will kind of address those needs and see what I could do with CPC. I'll be in contact with Mr. Henshaw from that committee as well. But this is to get the ball rolling, get a proposal together, and we could certainly have some improvements that we could get done if I could get it through the capital committee. And that, I mean, if anything else you might come up with, feel free to either bring it up tonight or just send me an email. Other ways that we could improve our common.
May I comment, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
My only extra comment would be, are we going to include the agribusiness signs?
It's a
Into
different
them.
topic, correct?
Well, remember, we also have,
It's part of.
I'm
planning.
looking at that because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Senator Goby filed for that $200,000 of economic development monies. I haven't heard whether that was approved, but I think with those monies, that would fall more under economic development,
Okay.
supporting businesses in town.
Mhm.
I know our legislative delegation's working on that. I would hope, I'm looking more at this one particularly for
Upkeep.
the upkeep, the general appearance of the common.
Mhm.
Maybe there's some sidewalk that Bob identifies that needs to be replaced over there. The state did a great job making some improvements along some sections there. Well, some people say they don't like the way the new traffic route is, but for the most part, it's really just looking at how we can make that look even better.
Mhm. Making sure we get the grass seeded and.
And you're working closely with Bob Sozak.
I will be working
correct?
with Mr. Sozik,
You'll
yes.
be
I
working
mean, he's one of
directly with
the,
him on
he's
this.
one of our main people when it comes to building a grounds,
Mhm.
public works that I will obviously
Have a lot of input from him.
correct.
Good
Great.
job taking the initiative, Adam.
Well, thank you. It's gonna be another project for Bob to do, but with me, but I think we'll get.
Maybe me, because I see you're looking for a group of citizens. I hope Ms. Bartolomeo will come out and all the people that have a deep connection to the
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get together by 3 folks to kind of
Okay.
provide some input here and there. Yeah.
historical society and that other gentleman that came the last time. All good input, more than mine, but I just like the dream.
No, I know there was a sidebar discussion when I went to the Motor Palooza on Sunday afternoon. We have the Historical Society, the Historical Commission, and the Historical Commission is still trying to pin down what is the actual historic district.
Yeah.
And I'd like to approach this board as well with some thoughts on signs on the common as well. And that
It'd
a
be
future
interesting to
discussion.
see.
Yeah, it will
where
be
they
very
land in the
interesting
map.
how that
Yep.
all maps out and lines out.
Absolutely. It's gonna be an interesting conversation.
But I think overall, I mean, we had discussions. I think it's going to turn out to better make the common, I mean, make improvements to the common that'll better the community overall. So overall, as long as everything turns positive, I think it's a good thing for the town.
Great.
And this just falls right under all the town properties where the board is the custodian.
Mhm.
At the end of the day. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And there was no
Thanks, Andy.
suggested motion on that. That's more informative. 6B, fence viewers.
Yeah, this is another one we've been talking about quite a bit. And I believe it came to the board, if I remember correctly, it was over a dispute over a fence.
Jen Smith, yeah,
And
Farnsworth. Is it Farnsworth?
well, if I could, yeah, I mean, there was a dispute and generally speaking with the fence viewers, they make recommendations and, over disputes, that's generally something that's handled more so in land court. Because the defense viewer can make a recommendation, but remember, both parties have to agree to that recommendation. One party disagrees, then the fence viewer's recommendation is pretty much would have to still end up going to land court. You see town council drafted an opinion for you. And the suggestion from town council was for us to post the positions of fence viewers on our webpage. If we get interest, great. If we don't, then we don't have fence viewers, but at least we're reaching out. We're doing the best we can to fill those roles. So that's all I really have relative to the fence viewers.
When I read it the first time, there was like a little stipend with it.
There may be, and that's something we would have to take up in budget season if we were to get interest in those, because remember, we still have some positions, our disability commission, we have posted, we have this posted. Well, if this through the board, we get these filled, there's quite a few positions we still need to fill in town.
We do.
We do have quite a few.
We do.
I do remember beside the Mass General Law, we were preparing for the presentation on this the first time, the fence viewing is actually an old national law. And the other state that really hit me hard with it was Nebraska, where theirs is a very robust program. And I can only imagine what those farmers and ranchers go through. And I wouldn't want to try to mess with some of that.
And people in town or anywhere take their property lines very seriously, so, or their fence, wherever the fences may sit, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move for the town to post the positions of, fence viewers on the town website.
Second,
Motion made and duly seconded to post on the town website. Any further discussions? Hearing none, let's bring this to the vote. Ms. Griffiths?
yes,
Ms. Richards?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you. Item 6C, Scout Hall update.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, what you see in your packet is the letting work for Scout Hall invitation to bid. It's in draft form there. Holly and I have made some adjustments to this, including certain times that weren't included in here because we had to check with Mr. Sozik for the inspection of the location. And a couple other things. We believe that we'll have this posted tomorrow and hopefully we get a bidder and we can get that deletted, and then the inspector that did the work has to come back and check it again for it to be fully signed off on.
And do you have his name? Like, in the back of your mind,
The,
don't have that paperwork in front of me, the inspector that originally went in.
hold on one second. Christine Coalfield, yes.
Field environmental.
Yeah, it's in the packet, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be attached
It's in
as
the
an
packet.
exhibit.
It's in.
It'll
Within the
be
bid package.
attached.
And
Yeah.
we're just waiting on the prevailing wage rates. Holly finished up the rest of it. We went through it today, this is a bid package. So once we get those prevailing wage rates, we could put that up with the report as well, as part of the bid package.
Christine Caulfield, May 31st of this year.
So how long will the bid be open?
Bids will be due
When will they
October
be due?
26th.
October.
October 26th at two
Okay,
P M.
Wednesday.
And the updated information the updated information includes the time. It's the 11th, but Tuesday, October 11th.
11th, and what about?
So that's gonna be different because
That's a different one, right? Because
Right.
that's a site inspection
That's a site.
and you're not even having your
Going
bids in by.
later because there's the Columbus Day was on the 10th.
Okay.
For the reservation for the site visit, so I just pushed it back a day.
That Columbus Day just keeps, Tim
It just
Tim
keeps
pointed out to
getting in
me
the way.
too, Columbus Day. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, Columbus Day. So yeah, we checked the
That's the-
dates and everything. We checked with Bob Sozik. We're able to make it work with the timetables with the meet for Massachusetts procurement law. So we'll have that finalized tomorrow, right, Holly?
Okay, we shook on this prior to this meeting, so
They get it posted and I
it'll be posted tomorrow.
posted.
Thank you, Holly.
tomorrow.
Well, May and now we're looking at October, knocking on our door, so. Let's roll.
Well, Julie signed in draft form. She's like, when are you getting that posted? I was like, yes, tomorrow. We shook on it. So it has to be posted tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be asking for another one in a month, but appreciate that.
I know it'll be interesting having some conversations with some of the former scout leaders. And when we used to have council on aging in that building.
Yeah.
Everybody has different memories, but they do believe, especially where we had the youth of the community in there, we had a lead abatement certification and nobody seems to know what happened to it.
And I agree, because when I started this project a few moons back, we also had that.
Yeah.
So interesting to see that it landed where it did, but
Yep.
I appreciate that the bid is going out and we're
Absolutely.
gonna get this hopefully taken care of in the very near future.
We're hopeful as well.
Let's see.
So I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to direct the town administrator to go out to bid for the de-letting of Scout Hall.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussions?
It's not gonna be another one.
Hearing none. Let's vote. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
Ms. Richard?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Board member and administrator comments and reports.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Just to reinforce, I hope everybody comes out for Candidates Day on October 15th. We sent out 12 invitations and we got 7 acceptances, which was
Great.
amazing to me. You know, the 2 senators, the 2 representatives, the Massachusetts Governor's Council and Congressman McGovern's opponent, Jeffrey Sosa Paquette is going to be coming, so. John Graves will be the moderator and we'll be at the senior center. Time to ask questions. We'll have audience, we're actually having audience participation. So they'll give a little talk. It's not a debate, it's a forum. So they'll give a little talk and then the audience will be allowed to ask questions for,
Like a candidate night, yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
Outstanding.
One thing I have Mr. Davin stayed the whole meeting, so
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Dev.
Thanks for stepping into the photo op. It's much appreciated. Fake check or not, we're getting the money. It's
Yeah.
real.
It was a team effort.
It was a huge team effort.
It was
so
a
thank
huge
you.
effort, absolutely.
So I guess the question is, I think Mr.
Who gets
Davin's
it?
waiting for the check, so not sure if they want to put it up at the light and water plan or, you know.
I'll put it up there in the main office so people see it.
so they'll
know. Yeah,
Great.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Did you want to present it to him?
Of
course you
We left that for Senator Goby.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
I just want to make a point of clarification for anyone who's watching the meeting tonight. Mr. Batchelder was talking about when he would be starting and everything. You mentioned his office hours. He is doing training next week, so he won't be in next week. His office hours are going to start on the 12th.
Oh,
I'm
good.
not
Thanks for
want
that.
people to be coming in looking for him when he's not going to be there. So
No,
Thanks for that
that's great.
clarification.
Thank you for that
thank
clarification.
you. Justice, anything to add, sir? I have nothing. So that said,
1 hour meeting.
well, not quite.
Well,
Not quite.
maybe a little bit
A
longer,
little bit longer.
but I'm impressed. The last one. was
So
really
action item F, I will be looking for a motion to go into an executive session. Possible actions under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A2 to conduct a strategy session in preparation for contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. This has to be a roll call vote. I will state before we vote that if this is affirmed, we will only be coming back to open session to adjourn the meeting. There will be no further votes or actions taken. Motion made and seconded to enter executive session. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
yes.
I vote yes as well.